right, good evening and welcome to our first ever installment of Inside the Coach's Corner with Coach Ian Bain and myself, Kevin Papa. Coach, how are we doing today?
Things are good. Weather's bad, but we're moving on through training camp.
And how was your family and your summer this summer?
Everything's great. Family's good. Ready for football.
Now, did you guys take any trips at all, coach-wise?
As a coach, so in the spring,
In the spring, right.
Scott Campbell and I went out to Ann Arbor, spent about a week with Michigan, and then just various clinics and spring practices in New England.
That's great. All right, so our goal each week is going to be to break down last week's game, preview this week's game. May have some guests from time to time, and we're going to give you an inside look at the Franklin football program. So, Coach, if you're ready, let's get it going.
Sure.
All right, training camps ended, school started. How did August go?
August was great. Going into year 4, our kids know what to expect. They know the things that they need to do to mentally and physically prepare for training camp. I think we came into camp in great shape. We are as strong as we've ever been, and now it's just getting the younger guys up to speed. But the veterans of the group definitely knew what it took, and we had a very good camp.
Now, you don't do much hitting during camp?
The state's pretty strict in what we're allowed to do, so we do abide by those rules. But in a sense, we do what we need to do to have a great practice.
And once school starts, what changes in the preparation?
Once school starts, we kind of get into more of a game week routine. We scrimmage Friday night. Next week we open on Thursday. So basically, Monday, Tuesday become very important days in installing the game plan. Those are sort of your heavy lifting days. And then by Wednesday, we're not backing off totally, but less physical, more situation, more kind of getting ready for the nuances of Friday night play. And then Thursdays, we want to go really fast.
Thursday, we're the only game in town, right? The only game in the state?
As far as I know, we're the only game in the state. Should be the only game in the Hockomock League, so we're hoping for a big crowd, and hopefully we'll be the unofficial kickoff to high school football in
That's a
Massachusetts.
7 o'clock game unless they change us for the Triple E,
Should be at 7.
which I saw on the cover of the Herald today.
Yeah, we're hoping that doesn't happen.
You guys tape everything all year long. What are you looking for on tape in August?
The biggest thing, so the first 3 days are just helmets. So, although we're taping from both the press box and the end zone, we're really grading out effort above all else. Obviously, we can't have any contact. They're even strict in terms of how you use any sort of dummies or sleds. So those are off limits. But you can see the physical effort that guys give, and we grade effort in 3 ways. First is the burst, which is a noticeable change of speed and direction. Do you get to top speed and do you finish? And in the first 3 days, that's all we're grading. Effort's a big part of our core values, and that's where the grades are for each player that gets on the tape. Once we get into more padded practices, uppers, and then eventually full pads, then we start to grade out more on the execution of the said play. I mean, there's not much you can tell from an execution standpoint when you can't go one-on-one against somebody,
Right.
You can't hit at all,
Right.
and physically you're pretty much 100% a zero in those first 3 practices.
The kids watch all the tape as well, correct?
Yes.
And do they know what they're watching and what they're looking for?
Yeah, again, new players, they might struggle to sort of know what they're looking for, especially the guys that get on tape are typically, guys that are going to be in the 2 deep, and that includes scout guys. So a freshman or a sophomore may not get on that film much, but that's our challenge to them early on, is try to get on that film in some capacity. So we just try to get them to understand that even though you might not be the quarterback on a play or the running back on a play, you can still learn a lot from that. And the nice thing about training camp is there is no school, so we get to do a lot of the film watching with the kids. We do have a lot of set meeting time where we can go over that, and then hopefully the lessons and the things that we're watching for with the kids, they'll start to watch for on their own.
Right.
Rather than watching the game as a spectator, they'll watch it more from a analyst kind of point of view on their performance.
You guys are on huddle, so you can see how much the kids actually watch.
We can, and we do, but for the most part, the kids, they're good about it. There's not a lot of downtime in training camp, so the numbers don't need to be quite as high because they're with us a lot of the day. But now that they're on their own more, we do trust that they're going to do what they need to do to get ready for our games.
Yeah, I know on my own AYF team, when we post a video, the kids watch for about 22 seconds, which is their touchdown 3 times in a row.
Yeah, and then they make the highlight films and all that.
With you started camp off going to Ashland.
Yeah.
It ended
Mhm.
with Ashland, a little scrimmage last week.
Mhm.
Have you had enough of Ashland?
Yeah, the good
I
thing
mean, it's a great help.
the good thing about Ashland is, that's who we go to all summer for our 7-on-7. Coach McKay and I, we've been friends for a long time. We've coached together. They're very well coached. They're very big up front. Scheme wise, the thing that we look for in scrimmages is, one, you got to have a dancing partner a little bit. We both know that like winning the scrimmage isn't the most important thing. It's how can we service each other's teams? How can we make each other better? It's nice to have somebody that wants to script situations and make it more like a practice than a 10 and 10 and what happens. So that's why we like to go with them. We have a lot of respect for their program and their kids. So it's nice to move on and be past Ashland to get seeing them all summer 7-on-7. But it's also I think we get a lot out of that, and I think we. Right now, I think they're the number 1 ranked Division 6 team in the South, and they were a game away from Gillette last year. So I know that they get a lot in terms of I think we can challenge them in some ways, and just what they give us scheme wise. If we don't want to scrimmage a team that is a lot of spread, for example, because maybe we don't see a ton of it, and we don't want to. We used to try to scrimmage wing T, but now we're seeing less of that. So they what they run up front, even if it's not so much formation, but just fundamental gap scheme runs, and they're very solid all across the board. And also we know they're going to be ready in that first Saturday we can get together. Whereas, there's some programs that might be at different places, whether it's a new coach or a different set of circumstances. So we know Ashland's going to give us a really good look that first day.
So now you scrimmage Friday night. It's Friday at 4 o'clock now, not 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Do you put a specific game plan in for this scrimmage, or is this just something that... Because it's a game-type scrimmage.
Yeah, so our plan is to play one half straight up. Obviously, we got to see how everything goes and how we are for health and everything like that. But then we like to play one drive each with our starters and rotational players coming out of the half. And then we get into subs. And we typically finish the fourth quarter with guys that haven't got a lot of time. Just to make sure we've given everybody a look. Again, our depth is we have a lot of kids on the team, so we can't get to everybody. But we don't go over the top with a specific game plan, but we do try to get the kids used to preparing. So, when we went out to practice Monday, we had a set of plays. Tuesday, we practiced the other kind of part of that game plan. And then today, although the weather was not great, we were able to review. Our kind of theme for Wednesday is no repeat Wednesday, so we really don't want to install anything new on Wednesday. We want to go through, make sure we're not making the same mistakes we made on Monday, Tuesday when the game plan was fresh, and then tomorrow we're fast. So we're out, we're going to be in and out of situations, substitution, 11 for 11 in the kicking game, and so in that regard there is a game plan in place. Not so much that we care whether we win or lose the scrimmage, but it's did we learn how to prepare this week? And the best part about that is that we start school on Tuesday, so now the kids get used to, okay, well now I got to be at school and I got to have history, science, math, English, and then my football. So it helps them sort of get ready, whereas, if we open this week with Milford, that's a lot on somebody's plate. So hopefully, we don't go over the top of the game plan, but we do have something to sort of get us used to when it's for real next week.
Other than health, what do you hope to come away with out of this?
We have a lot of good pieces, but we do have a lot of unproven pieces, and we want our kids to play fast and play confident. Training camp, we challenged our guys a lot mentally. I think physically we're in a good place, but mentally we wanted to really get after them and really push the envelope. I think as the year went on last year, we were able to continue to challenge ourselves mentally and to put us in some good situations. So, that's really what we're looking to get and really see is, can we just play football, play fast, play without the fear of making mistakes, play without thinking, and just let the game come to us. I mean, we got most of our install done in 4 days. Obviously with little wrinkles here, and there'll be some other things we need to add in the next week or so. But, can we just play football naturally? And I think we'll be good.
So, at this stage of the game, how many position battles do you think you have going on right now?
The thing is, the good thing, from the outside, maybe people don't see it, don't understand it, but our guys get it, is that we play such a variety of teams that, we try to make sure that guys understand, like, all right, let's say you're the running back. You might be the running back this week, but next week we might need something different out of that position. So it's not uncommon for us to really go into a week and, take a position like strong linebacker. In most programs, that's a guy that might get subbed out for a nickel, which is like a third safety, or we call it a coin, which is a third corner. Depending on the game plan, we might have 3 guys in that one position. Same thing with our linebackers. Do we need somebody faster, slower? Do we need somebody that's a little more bulk that we can put down on a tight end? So, it's always a battle week to week, and we want our guys to always compete in everything, like not take anything for granted. So I'd say there's a lot of spots open because we play a lot of packages.
Sure.
We don't sit into one thing, and we want guys to compete to be a part of those packages, even if it's 1, if it's 4. And then from there, just what do we need for that game to make us win? If we're playing with a lead, we're probably going to need a lighter defensive squad, just to get more D-backs in the game. If we're playing from behind, we might not need the run game as much, but we might need a running back that can pass protect, and that can go even as far as what do we need out of our offensive and defensive lines.
Right.
So the biggest thing I think we look for in terms of position battles is just how many guys can we get to compete for those jobs. We've got guys that can rush the passer. We got guys that are more stout in the run. We've got guys that can get in coverage and play man. We got guys that are great in zone. So it's just kind of a matter of what are the pieces that we need. And I think every week if we can just keep adding guys into the rotation, into the mix, we're going to get dinged and banged up like everybody else will. So we got a lot of guys always competing for spots.
So this year, this is your first 4-year class coming through.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of, as you call them, dudes who only know your football.
Yeah.
So that's a big advantage for the first time, correct?
Yeah, the nice thing is we haven't changed a whole lot. We've added and we've modified, but the language, the terminology, the expectations on both sides and in the kicking game are the same. A lot of these guys, even like Tommy Gasparo, Alex, their quarterbacks, they've been working with me since they were freshmen because we intermix all of our practices. So, Jake Davis has been with our receivers coaches the whole time. Wirtz has gone with Coach Campbell for 4 straight years at linebackers. So, we've been and Leo's been with Coach Rosen for 4 years. So we've been lucky with that. We've been able to keep some continuity on the coaching staff, which helps with that process. It's not just me being here for 4 years, but we've had our coordinators in place. We've had some really good support pieces that have been in place, and even guys that have been additions are guys that know the system or are pretty familiar with the way that we want to do things. So I think that's made everything easy to a point that we came into camp already having a lot of this stuff under our belt, and we can just put teach tapes on Huddle.
Take a lot of time.
Yeah, and then we can just kind of do and correct rather than start from scratch with everything. Although we still teach it the same, we can definitely go faster now.
So, in my looking at the team this year, I know your offensive line lost a huge amount of talent. Is that the biggest question mark going into the season? Replacing that?
I think. Obviously that is the case with the amount of guys we lost. In some ways we're better, we're faster, we're stronger. In some areas we're longer, which is good. But I think even a receiver, the talent that we have at receiver is excellent. The talent we have at quarterback is great. How many guys are totally been bona fide, just proven in what they've done? And I think that's the biggest thing is we got the guys, and I think we've done a good job building experience. And we do have a lot of question marks though. So line it definitely, but I think all over. There's only a handful of guys that we can really say like that guy's done it for 3 years.
Sure. So up and down football, from college down all the way to your youth football, they've made rule changes. Mm-hmm. They've gone to a different route. What do you think about them?
I assume you're talking about safety.
The safety,
the federation rules.
The federation rules.
Yeah. So the federation rules, it is what it's
spinning after the meeting.
Yeah, I think the reality is it's not going to affect 95% of our games. I think where most people were a little upset is the manner in which it happened. I don't think any coaches were really involved or consulted. So who's making the decision and what's their background in football, which I think we'll find it is none. And then just even things like, we were told we could keep the NCAA hash marks. We have millions of dollars invested across the state in these turf fields, and we were told we could keep the college hash marks, keep this beautiful facility that we have, and we reset up 2 years ago and the way it is. And we get an email a week before camp starts out, and actually you need hash marks that are Federation, which is only 6 feet on both sides. But our athletic director, our grounds crew, we take pride in the way our facility looks.
Sure, it's one of the top in the state.
And the MIA says we could put out traffic cones. So it's just stuff like that really just kind of seems like nobody thought it through. There really wasn't a lot of planning that went into it. I mean, again, 95% of our gameplay is not going to be impacted, and we're going to go on. We're going to learn the new rules. But I just thought it was done very sloppily, very unprofessionally at the state level. But that's my opinion. I'm sure some people share that opinion, some don't. I think our game has made so many strides to already make it a lot safer for kids. I don't think that impacted anything. I think the game's just as safe with these rules as it was. And I think there may have been motives that are unrelated to the game itself, made by people that have no idea what they're talking about. But that's it. It is what it is.
Do you think there'll be a delay in a lot of games because the referees are new to this as well, and just talking about where the spot of the ball should be, because most of these fouls are now spot fouls.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion. I think you might get 2 weeks, 2 different interpretations on some rules, different interpretations between coaches. Not that things weren't messed up before. There were rules that we had gotten incorrect with the college rules, and even the whole having 5 timeouts was a joke. So there were things that were wrong with the other one, but I know that officials are they're getting harder and harder to come by.
Sure.
And I feel like we just alienated a certain group that want to focus on college, and we just made it really hard for a group that has to now learn a new set of rules or live in both worlds. And I don't think we did a lot to, at least it sounds like from the officials that I've spoken with in the last few weeks, trying to get clarity on rules that they still don't know. And the state didn't do what they needed to do to take care of that, which again, if you're an official, probably the most underappreciated job title in America, the amount of crap that you get, and some of it fair, but most of it not. The officials got it worse, I think. I feel like we didn't put them in a great situation. So, but it is what it is. I mean, officiating is part of the game. Good calls, bad calls are part of the game. I just think everybody was like, something we didn't need to do. We just made everybody's life a lot harder for really no reason. But.
So looking ahead, when do you put in the game plan for Milford? Does that go right in after? Have you already started putting that in?
Yeah, we've already started putting that in. What we try to do in camp is we don't over focus on one team or another team, but we try to make sure we're seeing things we're going to see in the season. And then, our game planning process, truthfully, we don't know 100% a lot about Milford. Just like they don't know a ton about us, I wouldn't think, unless they've been at our practice or we've been at theirs, which is not the case. So there's not a lot we can do for game planning for camp. For the first game, it's more about preparing for situations. They might, like last year, it was the second game, but they came out in a Wildcat offense, something we hadn't seen at all. And it took some time to adjust. Mm-hmm. We came out against Andover in the first game, and defensively, we get the ball, we turn them over, and we get the ball in the red area, but we had no idea what they were going to play in the red area. So the first couple calls, it's sort of a feel out. So from a coaching angle, we've got to be able to adapt and adjust our play calling, and we've got to think on the fly. So that's why we've tried to put a lot of things in, things that we're doing well. We don't have things just to have things, but things that we're comfortable with, things that will work against multiple fronts or multiple defenses, multiple offenses. And then as the game develops, we certainly have an idea of what Milford will want to do as they will with us. But we've got to be able to draw from that tool bag and just kind of figure out what we need to do.
How's the Hawk overall look this year?
It's always great. I mean, I can really only speak to our side. I'm familiar with the Hawk Mock Small, but I don't really watch much of their film unless it's a crossover game. But we're able to see film on every team every week, and we try to keep up with that through the season. It's good. I really can't pick a team that will be not good. I think the only question mark is Oliver Ames has new coaches, which can mean a lot of different things. So, for that in that case, it's just impossible to say what they'll do or what they'll be. But I mean, I think Oliver Ames has beat us 2 out of the last 3 years, so they're really good. Everybody in the league can beat anybody. Throw the records out, and we've taken King Philip and Mansfield down to the wire at various points in the last couple of years. Taunton's done the same. There have been upsets there, and so everybody's really good. Everybody's very well coached. I don't really get into who's the favorite, who's not the favorite. We just really got to worry about Milford. But in terms of when we do get to league play, we know that every game's going to just be a battle. So we got to just prepare and manage our squad the best that we can and put our guys in good situations.
Now, do you like the schedule the way it is this year with your first 2 games, Andover, Milford, then a bye, and then really the meat of your schedule coming?
Yeah, I mean, if and Milford helped us out, and I think we helped each other out. There's 12 weeks now to play 11 games, just the way that the school year starts and where Thanksgiving lies. It happens every probably 4 or 5 years. So last year, we had 11 weeks to play 11 games, no bye week needed. So this year was kind of pick it, and as a league, we play our 5 in a row. So basically, we had a 3-week window to do a bye, and what Andover had going on with their scheduling, we actually had the first game open, which isn't a bad thing, but if you think about it from a kid's perspective, if you report to training camp August 16th and you don't actually play a game until September 12th, 13th, whatever that date works out to be, it's a month of football without a game, and it's just too long. And I think there's a reason the NFL is trying to shorten their preseason, because it's not like it used to be where guys come into camp and we want our dudes to play other sports, but everybody, whether you play baseball, lacrosse, soccer, you're taking care of your body year round. So guys come in, we're in shape. Like, we don't need an extra week to get in shape, And at a certain point too, like, what more are you going to put in? So Milford and us agreed to move the game to that first slot, and I'm glad that we did. So now we'll play 2 games. We'll be able to kind of have the week going into the league play. But I honestly hate bye weeks. I think most people do too, because everybody wants to play. You only get 11 games. I think if it was up to anybody, we'd just say, let's just play a 12-game season and let's play another game, because that's what everybody wants. I mean, you're going to hang your hat up at the end of high school. Some guys will only have the chance to play 12, 24, maybe, 30 games in a career. So, but it is what it is. I'd rather do it the way that we're doing it now, though, than take the bye somewhere else. And then, obviously we'll have a bye before Thanksgiving, which is typical for Division I and Division II teams in the North and South.
And hopefully we're playing after Thanksgiving.
Be nice.
It would be nice. Well, that's all for today. We'll join you next week, Wednesday, after the scrimmage this week, and then right before Milford, we'll take a look at that game and the upcoming weeks ahead. I want to thank the coach, Ian Bain, and I'm Kevin Papa. We'll see you next time from the Coach's Corner.